I made quite a few videos on the penny alcohol stove, and it does okay. I get 500 to 1,000 views, but they never really take off. Even though I think it's really cool, and I'm surprised that my videos don't do better. I've done like 10 or more videos making these, but let me show you how to make them. So like you're going to get 2 soda cans, and you're going to cut both the bottoms off the soda can. Your distance should be anywhere from 1 to 2 inches. Note, the size that you make your puck is going to determine how quickly it lights, because it has to heat the puck up to vaporize the alcohol inside and force it out of the jets out top. So a smaller puck will light faster, but it will have less alcohol and won't run as long. But they still run a long time. Like this one could probably run for over an hour just with the size. But this one would run much longer because it's a much larger puck. But at the same time, this would be much harder to light. You have to fill the top bowl with alcohol at least 3 times to get this hot enough to get it to generate. So the larger you make your puck, the harder it is to start. Anyways, once you got your 2 ends cut off, then you're going to take and you're going to force them together, one inside and one outside of the other. This is the hardest part, and it takes a little bit of doing, but when you do it right, you get a good clean seal between the 2 cans. And you need both hands for this, so I can't really show you, but you just kind of slowly work it until they want to fit together like that. And you're always going to be fighting one spot, trying to get them to squish together. I have found if you take a little shim piece, a little scrap piece, and use it as a shim, you can usually kind of work the 2 cans together pretty good. Or at least it helps a lot when you use a little piece as a shim and you work it around like that to get the cans to go together. Probably the hardest part about this is getting them to go together cleanly and not having any dents or dings or what I would call a crease. You can see how this one's completely folded in on itself and made it a crease. And so there's a little gap there that your alcohol and your pressure can escape from. So trying to get them to push together properly without doing that creasing is really hard. You can see how it gets worse as I push it harder in, and it still leaves a little bit of a gap. But if you're really careful and you do it just right, you can get them fit perfectly snugly together. And then I like to put it so that my bottom cup is facing up so that my connection is right here at the top, because this bottom cup is holding my liquid. If I did it the other way, my liquid would be escaping through this gap. So you want to keep it oriented that way, and this will be my burner. Next, we're going to take a regular push pin thumbtack, and we're going to poke our jet holes. I like to poke them right on the outside edge of this top rim. That way the jets come pouring outwards, and it makes more of a gas burner type of a flame. Versus if I poke them on the inside of the rim. I've done that before, and then they all just shoot to the middle and come up as one solid flame. So that's not what we want. We want to poke our holes on the outside of this very top little lip here, right on this rim. And I usually do about 5 holes is the correct number. More than 5 holes, you start to lose pressure. 4 holes is not enough. And this size, little thumbtack, you just want a little pinhole. Just a tiny little hole, but you don't want it to be too small. Any smaller than a thumbtack and your jets are going to be too small. Much bigger than this, and then you don't get the proper jet flame size. You know, it gets too big and you're letting too much out at one time. So a little push pin thumbtack seems to be the perfect size to make the jet holes. Now, once you've got all your jet holes poked, then you're going to drill a hole in the very center of your top jet piece, because that's where you'll be able to add your fuel. That's your fuel port. Now, in a normal penny alcohol stove, you'd be done at this point. You fill it up with fuel, you put a penny over the hole, and you pour liquid on the top and light your burner. But the liquid's going to go down inside underneath the penny. The penny doesn't hold the liquid in the bowl very well. The penny also doesn't hold the pressure in the cans very well. But this is the original penny alcohol stove design, or hobo stove. But instead of doing that, I've found that if you take a bolt that's about the same depth as the can, so it goes all the way down to the can, and you use a bolt to cover your hole and put it into your can, it will hold the pressure in your can better, forcing the alcohol out the jets. And it will also help transfer the heat from the starter bowl, where you pour your alcohol up here to get the heat generated. It will transfer the heat better through that steel bolt in deep into the center of the liquid and help your stove start generating quicker, rather than if you use the penny method. The size of your bolt is not really specific. There's no specifics for the design. It's just whatever bolts you have lying around. It could be a small one, it could be a big one. The most important part is that it reaches down into the liquid. It doesn't have to reach all the way to the bottom, but it has to reach down into where when you're starting it, it's going to be in contact with your alcohol inside. I also like the bolt design because you can just screw it in. And like I said, it's going to hold the alcohol better here in the top. It's going to hold the pressure in to force the vapors out the jets. It's just a better way to do it than using a penny. And it transfers the heat down into the alcohol and helps it generate faster. But yeah, that's basically how you make one of my penny alcohol stoves. Let me put some alcohol in this and we'll fire this one up and test it. Most everybody uses isopropyl alcohol for these. You can use pretty much any alcohol. You can use other fuels as well, white gas for stoves, things like that. But these were designed to be a cheap, like, you can go to the dollar store, pick up a bottle of isopropyl and some soda cans and make yourself a stove type of a deal. That's why it's called a hobo stove. But anything below 90% is going to make you struggle. You want 90+% isopropyl alcohol. It has to be 90+, otherwise it burns like crap and it doesn't work very well. We've got our liquid filled right up there. We're going to put our bolt in and then we'll fire her up. To start your stove, you're going to fill this top bowl with some more isopropyl, and then when you light it, it will heat up this top bowl. You can't quite see it because blue flames, but it'll heat up the entire thing, and then it will start generating and coming out of the jets. You can still see the blue flame. You have to be careful with alcohol because it's hard to see a blue flame. Here, you can see the flame a little better now. You can see a nice orange flame, but it's going to heat up the bolt and heat up the entire can. So wherever you place this, you want it to be on a fireproof surface because it does get hot. And while you're using it, once you put it out, you're going to want to let the can cool down before you touch it or try to move it. It does take, 4 or 5 minutes to get it hot enough before it will start generating out of the burners. And like I also said, the size of the can will determine how long it takes to start, because a taller can will take longer to heat up, or puck as I call them. I call them pucks. So this is like a medium size. It could be a little smaller, but this is about an average size for the type of stoves that I make. Alright, so I timed it. It's still burning off the top alcohol, but this one took 6 minutes before it started to generate out of the ports. Once it finished burning off that alcohol in the bowl up top, then we'll just have the little burner ports going. This one took 6 minutes before it actually started to generate.